Barbie. I'm a doll, but I still wanna party.
Pink felt like I'm ready to bend.
I'm a 10, so I pull in a Ken.
Like Jazzy,
Stacy,
Nikki. All of the Barbies is pretty.
all of the Barbies is bad. It girls, and we ain't playing tag. Rad, but he spank me when I get bad. I'm in LA, Rodeo Drive, girls, and we ain't playing tag.
Barbie ain't nothing to play about. He wanna play in a playhouse. They gon' say now. I'm watching these bitches, I'm rubbing a stain out. Like I'm ready to bend. All the fake Barbies just wanna pretend.
So the Barbie movie made over 330 million worldwide in the first weekend. Not to mention, it had a killer cast and an amazing album. So the Barbie mania caught on so much that even celebs started dressing up to go to the premieres. Hence, we got Barbiecore. I mean, it's a vibe. Ever since I can remember, Barbie was the toy. My mom had Barbies, my clients had Barbies, I had Barbies, my children will probably have Barbies. And they have a Barbie for everyone now. The Barbie movie reminded us that Barbie's been around for a really long time and she isn't going anywhere. And there's something comforting about that. For women, Barbie captured the gender role strain perfectly. In the film, America Ferrera did a fabulous job with her monologue. It highlighted the struggles of women fighting for their different roles that seem to conflict with each other. Am I a mother or a lover? Am I ambitious or am I available to my loved ones? Am I outspoken and fight for people, or do I need to be respectful? It gets really confusing, and honestly, I found myself in the same type of situations, especially when I'm out in public. I don't know how, but somehow I think people just must smell that I'm a therapist. I was out in Marshall's the other day, and a woman checking me out started telling me about all these traumatic things. And while I am a stranger to her, I'm also a therapist. I don't know what about my face says that I want to listen to this stuff, but apparently it does. And I struggle with what I want to be to these people. Sometimes I just don't want to talk to anyone, but I also don't really want to be mean. I mean, I don't want to invite the conversation, but I also don't want to be considered rude or bitchy. But then I also don't want people to say, oh, you should smile more, because that's gross. And if I'm too friendly, was I asking for it? It gets all really confusing. I have a therapy rule called both and. This explains that you can be both things, not either or. Way too often, I see women trying to fit themselves into boxes, and my response is always, why not both? Why not hold both of these ideas in the same body? We can be both authentic to our mood and a good person. Do we choose to be accepted by society or true to ourselves? And don't get me started on the men. In the movie, Ken goes through a very tumultuous journey being a man. He had to learn how to exist out of the context of Barbie, of power, of masculinity. It was very tricky. And in a sea of Kens that look just like him, how do you find your value? He is beach Ken, right? There's nothing special about him. But the attention of a Barbie gives him purpose. Hence, when Barbie pulls her attention away from him, he starts to lose all meaning. And this existential dread kind of sinks in. And it's a very common experience for men to have. While I'm not a man, a lot of my male clients seem to relate to this experience. Even state that when attention is coming out of a place of pity, like, oh, don't worry, honey, like, you're fine, I'm here for you, blah, blah, blah. It just seems cheap. It seems to be cheap and not real and will lower their self-esteem even more. Sometimes this will lead to depression, anxiety, and even resentment. Luckily, in the film, Ken sits with this. He has to find his own value while sitting in discomfort. And he winds up finding out that he's Knuff, which is great. And it's important to note here that Barbie didn't just pacify him. She didn't try and fix his problems, and she didn't abandon him either. We learned that you can exist without having to prove your worth to society.
Sipping up the sunset, light me up the regrets.
Hey, Mom.
We are beautiful. We are beautiful.
You know, the mother-daughter relationship really stuck with me in the film. There seems to be growing pains on both ends. For mothers, there's this weird discomfort of shifting from caretaker to guide. This thing that once needed you no longer needs you anymore. So what does that make you now? The parent, the protector, the teacher, the friend? Many times I hear mothers' frustration with their children and the loneliness of not being needed in the same way anymore. While the daughters have to grow beyond being a creation, they're the creators now. They've gained confidence and experience and now get to test their skills. A lot of adult children are simply frustrated by not being trusted by their parents. Ruth states, "We mothers stand still so our daughters can look back and see how far they've come." To me, this solidifies that this is a normal progression of life. There is forgiveness to be had on both sides from the mother and the daughter for simply being human. As a therapist, I tell all my clients, you get to choose who you want to be and what you want to represent. At the end of the day, you really should watch this movie. Even if you think you're gonna hate this movie, you should watch it because it teaches you how to deal with all the societal pressures that we put on ourselves, we put on other people, all the hate that we get, women hating women, women hating men, men hating women, moms hating daughters, daughters hating moms. It's just too much hate. It's too much hate. But if we all work together in a way to try and break down these societal barriers that we have, like maybe there's some hope. Maybe there's some hope there. And we can grow past into this utopian Barbie world or simply figure out what it means to be human.